Hello, welcome to the Spider's Web. What are we going to be doing? Well, ta-da! We're going to be doing the solo adventure from the Dungeons & Dragons Red Box Starter Set. Now this book that I'll be working from is the Player's Guide, or the Player's Book from this set. It's basically very similar to the old Steve Jackson, Ian Livingstone books that were around in the 80s, where you read a passage, make some decisions, and then go to the next passage. Not next passage. It will tell you exactly, depending on what decision you've made to do at the end of the passage, which passage to then go to. So what I've done so far is, on my character sheet I have written the name, the race and the gender. So the name is Fibro the Bewildered, the race is human, and the gender is male. I'll be filling various other bits and pieces of this the sheets as and when I get to it. So also what I'm doing is I'm going to be using my tablets, as I have a dice rolling software on here, or dice rolling app rather, so I'll be using that instead of using proper dice. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Part 1. Goblin Attack. The wagon rattles and creaks as it rolls along the old trade road. Travis, the dwarf merchant beside you, guides a team of mules with a steady hand, more interested in the road ahead than in your attempt at conversation. But that's part of dwarven nature. Though the sun is low in the sky, you should reach the town of Fallcrest before nightfall. To your left, the moon hills stretch off southwards and reach up towards the darkening sky. The fall air grows cooler with night's approach. What awaits you in Fallcrest? Think for a minute about your character, or what your character... I'll start that one again, sorry. What awaits you in Fallcrest? Think for a moment about what your character hopes to achieve. You might imagine your character riding on the wagon, thinking about what lies ahead. Are you setting out on a life of adventure on purpose, or about to stumble into one by accident? Are you heading to the town to see someone you know, or perhaps to pay your last respects to a relative who has died? Is Fallcrest your final destination, or will you move on from there to some place further west, perhaps Winterhaven or some more distant settlement? Or perhaps you're looking for something and don't know where to find it, and Fallcrest just seemed like a good place to start. Suddenly, a noise shakes you out of your reverie. The twang of a bowstring, coming from the shadows beside the road. Travis cries out as an arrow sinks into his shoulder. With a shrill cry, a pack of goblins, short, ugly creatures with green skin and fang-filled mouths, run towards the wagon, brandishing weapons. You can see another goblin pulling an arrow from a quiver on its back. It's clear these creatures mean to steal the wagon, and that probably means eliminating both you and the merchant first. It's time to leap into action, but that can mean different things for different kind of fantasy heroes. How do you imagine the hero in your mind reacting to this situation? So the choices are: do you imagine pulling a weapon from the back of the wagon and leaping down to fight the goblins? Do you imagine casting a magic spell to blast the goblins? Do you imagine drawing a dagger, using the wagon for cover and sneaking round to pick off the goblins without putting yourself in too much danger? Do you imagine tending to the merchant's wounds, perhaps uttering a divine prayer to restore his health? Or do you prefer hiding in the back of the wagon until the fight is over? Or finally, do you have a different idea about what to do? Okay, well, the kind of person I am and I'm going from this. I'm going to go for, even though I'm not trained in first aid or anything, but I do imagine myself tending to the merchant's wounds and perhaps uttering a divine prayer to restore his health, because anybody who knows me knows I'm quite spiritual and religious. So let's have a look. So it says to go to passage number 5. So if we go down to 5, it says, the masters of the healing arts in the Dungeons and Dragons world are clerics. A cleric is one of 4 main character classes in the Dungeons and Dragons game. Your class is the primary definition of what your character can do in your world of game, or the world of the game rather. Clerics are servants of divine powers who wield the magic of the gods to heal, inspire and lead their allies. If your character is a cleric, you probably studied at a temple or a monastery, and your training culminated in a ceremony in which divine power was bestowed upon you. You must be wise to wield such power, insightful and perceptive, as well as quite strong. Does this sound like what you have in mind for your character? If it does, go to one particular passage. If it doesn't, go back to number 1 and make a new choice. Well, I would say that yes, that is something I would have in mind for my character. So let's go forward and go to passage number 35. Okay, it says make a note on your character sheet or scrap paper that your character's class is cleric. So I'm just writing cleric on my character sheet. Now you can heal the merchants and then deal with the goblins. As a cleric, one of your most basic prayers is called Healing Word. You can use this prayer to channel your deity's power and heal a wounded ally. Bending over the wounded merchant, you utter a brief prayer and watch in satisfaction as divine radiance washes over the arrow wound, knitting the flesh back together and stopping the flow of blood. Colour returns to Travis's face and he smiles his thanks. Confident that he's alright, you stand up in the wagon and assess the situation. In game terms, you've just used a minor action, using your Healing Word prayer and a move action standing from your seated position. Each time it's your turn in a combat encounter like this, you can take 3 actions. A move action, a minor action and a standard action. However, you're still in the wagon and you don't have a weapon in your hand to attack with. You can trade in your standard action for another minor action, namely pulling a mace from your belt so it's ready to use on your next turn. Now it's the goblin's turn to act. Several of the nasty little creatures rush towards the wagon, but they're not heading for you. The archer that shot the merchant though takes careful aim and looses an arrow in your direction. When a monster attacks, it rolls a d20 and adds its attack modifier. It compares the results to one of your defences, in this case your armour class. As a cleric, you don't wear the heaviest armour, but you're still better protected than the merchant. Your chainmail armour gives you an AC of 16 and your heavy shield adds +2 more, so your armour class is 18. So I'm just going to put on this sheet my armour class. When I can find it, it's 18. Okay. Now roll the d20 for the goblin's attack. So what I need to do first of all is switch this on. I need to remove the die that's already there and create a die d20. Okay, so I'm going to stand up and then you can see this properly. So that is a 17. I'm hoping you can see that. I'll give you the number up there and the die will be down at the bottom, unfortunately. So that's 17. Oh dear. Adding its hat. Okay, so it's got 17 and it's got, so I'll start this one again. So you roll the d20 for the goblin's attack, adding its attack modifier of +7. If the goblin gets an 18 or higher, it hits you. Well, obviously it hit me because it got 17 on the roll, and it's plus 7, so that's obviously more than 18. The goblin's arrow finds its way through your armour, but it's just a minor wound. You feel a jolt of pain, but you can fight it. The arrow deals 1d6, so that's a 6-sided dice. So I'll just get rid of the 20-sided dice and get a 6-sided dice out. So do that and roll there, and that's 1. I don't know if you can see that. Hope you can. I don't know where the dice has gone, which there. So that's, yeah, that's definitely a 1. Plus 3 damage to you, so that's 4 damage. Take more damage than that before you fall. Right. The arrow deals 1d6 plus 3 damage to you, but you can take more damage than that before you fall unconscious. Your hit points measure how much damage you can take. The goblin's damage is subtracted from your hit points, but you'll get them back soon enough. Because you're a cleric, you start with hit points equal to your constitution score, plus 12. Right, now I don't know what my constitution score is. Let's see. Okay, so if you're a dwarf, I'm not. If you're not a dwarf, your constitution score is 13. So constitution, let's have a look, is 13. Your constitution modifier is plus 1, and I have 25 hit points. Where's my hit points? Where's hit points? Where's hit points? 25 hit points. Okay, so that has taken off 4 hit points, so I now have 24 hit points. Okay, so let me just show you what I've put on my sheet now. I'll move around here and just angle the camera. So I've got my name, my class, race and gender. Moving across to this side, I've got my constitution score, which is 13 plus 1 modifier. I have an armour class of 18. I have 25 hit points, and I've just put that one wrong, it should be 20. I lost 4 hit points, so I'll have to rearrange that. It should be 21, not 24. I forgot about. I just went from the die roll rather than the actual modifier, so it's 21 hit points I've got, not 24. So that's what I've done so far. Okay, let's come back round. And we can carry on. Okay, so it continues by saying make sure you write down your full normal hit point total, then in the space for current hit points write down the total after subtracting the goblin's damage. You should also note your blooded value, which is 1/2 your full normal total hit points, rounded down. So that will be, my blooded value will be 12, because 2 12s are 24, plus 1 is 25, but you always round down, so it will be obviously 12.5, not 12, but you round down. So okay, right, so that's my hit points sorted out, and the first attack which was done by the goblin. Now it's my turn again, and with the merchant cared for, you can turn your attention to smiting these goblins with the wrath of your divine power. When you make an attack with a divine prayer, you roll 20-sided dice and add your attack modifier. Here's how to determine your attack modifier. First, write down your character's wisdom score. If you're a human, elf or dwarf, your wisdom score is 18. So I will write that down. And your wisdom modifier is +4. Okay. Don't worry if you decided to... right. I'm just reading through as well, because there's some things that don't apply with this, so if I suddenly start reading and then stop, it's because I've reading something that doesn't apply to me. Okay, so you should write down 2 different attack modifiers, one if you're attacking with a weapon and one if you're channeling power through a holy symbol you carry, which is called an implement. Your weapon attack bonus is your wisdom modifier +2. Okay, so my attack bonus, my wisdom modifier is +4 with an attack of 2, and that's attack bonus is +8. Sorry, no, +6. Sorry, I'm actually reading what it says on here, and rather than what I should be putting down. Okay, and your implement attack bonus is the same as your wisdom modifier. So my wisdom modifier is +4. So my implement is +4, and weapon, I'll put sword down because I don't know. No, it's not a sword, it's a mace, isn't it? Okay. The way you channel Divine Wrath depends on what kind of cleric you want to play. Some clerics serve deities that emphasise protection, such as the sun god Pelor. If you're a sun cleric, your mace might glow with the light of the sun as you smite your foes, driving away fear and pain from you and your allies as the sun drives away the darkness of night. Or you might surround yourself with a nimbus of sunlight that bolsters your allies, rather than deceiving your enemies. Other clerics serve deities that put more weight on destruction, such as the storm god Cord. If you're a storm cleric, your mace might erupt with thunder and lightning as you strike your foes. You might smite a whole group of enemies with a concussive blast of thunder. So if I want to be a cleric of protection and the sun, I go to one particular passage, and if I want to be a cleric of destruction and the storm, then I go to another one. Well, I think the sun one sounds nice, so I'll go with the cleric of protection and the sun. So we go to the next passage. Leaping down from the wagon, you intone a prayer called Brand of the Sun, and your mace lights up like a star. Make a note on your character sheet or scrap paper that Brand of the Sun is one of the powers you know. Okay, Brand of the Sun. Brand of the Sun. Even before you make the attack, the light surrounding your weapon bolsters you and the merchant protecting you from further attacks. You gain 2 temporary hit points, so that's 23 temporary hit points, which acts as a buffer against damage. They don't undo damage you've already taken, but they will effectively reduce the damage you take the next time a goblin hits you. Note the temporary hit points near the current hit points on your character sheet or scrap paper. Now find the 20-sided die and Brand of the Sun is a weapon attack. Okay, so let's switch tablet back on, get rid of the 6-sided die and bring the 20-sided one back, and use your weapon attack bonus. Roll the d20 and add your attack modifier. Okay, so let's roll the d20 and we get hang on a second. Start that one, try that one again. I'm going to shake this, rattle it about a bit. There we go. So we've ended up with a 5. For some strange reason it wasn't logging a number. I'm going to readjust this dice. It was on Roman numerals and I don't want that one. Okay, so we had 5. So where was I? So we had 5 or 6 depending on your modifier. Roll the d20 and add your attack modifier, which brings it to 10. My attack modifier, so it was 11. It's a weapon attack, isn't it? So 6. My modifier was plus 6. I rolled 5, so that's 11. Did you get a total of 15 or better? No, I didn't. Did I get a total less than 15? Obviously I did. So I go now to the next passage, which is: the goblin dodges your blow and with a fearful look on its face turns tail and runs. The other goblins seem to realise that capturing the wagon isn't going to be as easy as they thought, and they run away as well, scattering in all directions. Go to number 45. The whinny of a horse catches your ear, and as you look around for the source of the sound, you see a rider on the crest of a low hill. A few hundred yards away, the rider seems to be human, but as the goblins flee, he shakes his fist in frustration. His jet black horse rears and whinnies again, and the rider's red cloak billows behind him in the wind. Then the horse gallops off towards the southwest into the Moon Hills. We've now started part 2, tracking the goblins. You'll never catch the mysterious rider on foot, but determining his identity might bring some insight into the reason for this attack on the merchant's wagon. This is a major quest, so you can write a note on your character sheet, find the mysterious rider, and find rider. Find rider and learn ID. And learn ID. Okay. Congratulations, you've completed your first encounter. For driving off the goblins, you receive 100 experience points. Okay, so I get experience points, do I? So mark off 100 on there. Each time you complete an encounter or a quest, you gain experience points. When you earn enough XP, you gain a level, which is one of the biggest rewards you can receive for your success in the game. Each time you go up a level, your character improves in several ways. Your attack bonuses, defences and ability scores increase, and you learn new powers. When a combat encounter ends, you usually have a chance to take a short rest. A short rest lets you recover hit points you lost and regain encounter powers you used up. You didn't use any encounter powers in the fight, but you took damage. Here's how to heal up so you're ready for the next encounter. You regain hit points by spending healing surges. Each time you spend a healing surge, you regain hit points equal to 1/4 of your normal maximum hit points. Make a note on your character sheet of your healing surge value, which is 1/4 of my hit points rounded down. So healing surges, that would be 6, wouldn't it? 1/4 of my hit points rounded down is 6. Okay. Each day you can spend a number of healing surges based on your class and your constitution score. If you're a fighter, you have 9 surges plus your constitution modifier. If you're a cleric, you have 7 surges plus your constitution modifier plus 1 or plus 2, for a total of 8 or 9 surges per day. Okay, so constitution modifier was, where was it again, plus 1. So I have healing surges per day is 8, I believe, which is 9. If you're a cleric, you have 7 surges plus your constitution modifier, which is 1 plus 1, so that's 8 surges per day. And that's it. During a short rest, you can spend as many healing surges as you want to, or need to, in order to get your hit points back up to the normal maximum. If you've taken damage, spend surges to heal that damage. Keep track of how many surges you've used. At the moment I don't really see there's any point in doing so, because I've not lost all that many, so I'm not going to bother. But let's continue with the story. The merchant is not seriously injured, but as the goblins run away, he glances into the back of the wagon and swears vigorously. "They stole it," he shouted. Then he turns to you. You were incredible in that fight. You probably saved my life, but I need your help again. The goblins stole something from the back of my wagon, something precious. I need to get it back. How would your character respond to the desperate merchant's plea for help? If you immediately volunteer for help, go to one passage, or do you ask, "What's in it for me?" Or do you promise to bring the goblins to justice for the crime? Do you wish the merchant luck and climb back into the wagon? Or do you think of something else? Well, as a cleric, I think it would be better. I think the better option for this would be to immediately volunteer for help. But I'm going to leave it there. Tell me what I should do. Should I volunteer to help? Should I ask what's in it for me? Should I promise to bring the goblins to justice for the crime? Do I wish the merchant luck and climb back into the wagon? Or do I do something completely different? You tell me. See you soon. Take care. God bless.